This time on Second Chance Ohana.
Hey guys, today we have a different kind of video for you. We're going to be doing our first ever client customization piece. So we're going to take you through the consultation process where we enter her space and create this piece to match her home perfectly. So join us as we see if we can give this baby a second chance. Aloha, I'm Dani. In 2016, I moved from Maui to Arizona with my husband to be closer to my mom and pops, who lived just a few miles away. On our journey, Kyle and I expanded our family by adopting 3 tweens, and of course Barkley, who helps make sure everyone feels like part of the Ohana. Mom and I love to hunt for used furniture and restore it, because it's fun to be creative, use power tools, and of course make money. And because, like people, sometimes furniture just needs a second chance. In order to prepare for my consultation with Catie and Colby, I wanted to make sure to bring some samples of the stain colors and green colors that I knew they were looking for. And so I just added those stains and paints to these little popsicle sticks so that they could imagine these colors in their home. They had sent me pictures of their home and the space they were hoping to fit everything in, so I already had a really good idea of what they were looking for, but I wanted to give them the opportunity to make these decisions. So I was going to be showing them the stains, the greens, and some handle options so they could decide exactly how they wanted this custom piece to look like in their home. So the first option I wanted to show them was their stain options. We currently have 5 stains that we've been working with, so we put those on the popsicle sticks so they could compare it to their walnut table. I had a good idea even before I came, probably their top 2 choices, but it was so great to see it in the space, in the light, and compare it directly with their table. Green is actually one of my favorite colors to paint with, so we have a lot of green options. Well, I consider a lot for being fairly new at this. So we had 4 different options on hand, but obviously we can custom mix colors or get a whole new pint of paint and exactly what they're looking for. But once they saw the shirt I was wearing, they knew exactly what color they wanted, and thankfully I had one that matched.
Oh, that's pretty.
Those 2 together.
Yeah, that's nice.
I dried them on paper towels today, so there's like all the stuff stuck to them.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
And then you can tell that goes so well with the rest of the colors in your home.
Yeah.
Handle time. So we have a lot of different options. Some are gold, some are silver. I knew they were looking for gold, but we could always add gold with the gold gilding wax. So we showed them a variety of options, and it was really fun to hear what their take was.
Because I have one that's popping up to me.
I want to hear what you think first.
Okay. I really like this one. I think that's really cool. But I also like, this one. I also really like this guy. I think he's really cool too. I like them all. So what are your thoughts?
I was also thinking the arrow one.
Which one?
The first one.
That one? Yeah, I really like that one.
And then let's kind of compare how it looks. So it's the perfect size for the height of this drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice and subtle.
Yeah.
Okay, well we have our final design
Yay!
options. Easy, you guys.
Awesome.
I started sanding the top of the table. The challenge with this was that I wasn't sure what this top was made of or how thin the veneer was. I wasn't even sure that it was really wood veneer. To be extra careful, I started with 180 grit sandpaper, which really wasn't taking the finish off. So I switched to a coarser grit, 120, and was very careful to use a light hand and put no pressure on that sander whatsoever. Unfortunately, in the end, I did blow through a couple of spots. I'm really hoping that our Dick Jill stain will kind of disguise that a little bit. All right, so after I sanded the top of the table and the bottom shelf, then I scuff sanded the rest of the piece so that the primer would adhere better, and started priming. And as always, I used our shellac bin primer.
After priming, but before we start the first coat of color, we always want to hand sand between coats. So I'm just using a 220 sandpaper with a block to get all those little bumps out to prepare for the green. I'm so excited about this hardware. I love this handle that Colby and Catie chose. So all I need to do now is measure it out, drill 2 new holes for this handle, and then fill the hole that was left over from the little pull that was there before.
Time to stain. We used the Minwax gel stain on this, and it worked pretty well. It took a little fussing, but I was able to cover up those, or disguise those spots that I burned through on the veneer, and it looked pretty good.
This piece has been so simple and easy. Now it's just time for the last top coats. I love this wipe-on poly over wood. It's so easy to use. I do always wear gloves because it's really sticky and it just drives me crazy if it gets on my skin. But all you do is literally wipe it on, kind of rub it through, wipe it off, and done. Mom, am I doing a good enough job? You look like you're supervising very intensely.
Quality control over here.
And so we did end up doing 4 coats of poly on the top. Because of the high traffic, we want to make sure that it's going to last for years. Guys, I hate to say it, but chip happens. I mean, we were delivering this to Catie and Colby's house. It was 7:30 in the morning and we loaded it up. And as we were loading, sweet old Pops jammed it right into the tailgate. He about had a heart attack. I think I kept my cool, we'll see. But I also thought this would be an easy fix. Boy, was I wrong. So unfortunately, I had to call Catie and say, today is not the day. Give us a couple more weeks to get this fixed. So now begins what should have been a really easy repair. The beginning of a nightmare. So I knew we had to try the easiest fix, and I really hoped it was going to work. So pretty much I just wanted to piece it back all together since we still had the broken off chips. But before I could glue them on, I knew I needed to stain underneath so there was no light wood showing through. And so that's what I did. But unfortunately, the final result was still quite obvious, and since I can't add wood filler, because if I do, it's not going to take the stain the right way, we pretty much had to scratch this idea and decided it was time to make an entire new top. Lucky for us, we had this gorgeous piece of birch plywood just sitting in our garage. It had the grain going the correct way and everything. So now it's just time to trim it down so it'll fit perfectly on this table.
Time to sand again. And I do love to sand, so that's not a problem. But I was over at Dani's house doing this sanding and using her orbital sander, and it is completely different than mine. I totally wasn't used to it. So unbeknownst to me, when I was sanding, somehow I left some of those sanding rings in the wood and did not realize it until after we stained it. Oh my gosh, this is the piece from, well, I'm not going there.
Because this is just plywood, the sides show that it's plywood. It's not a pretty look, and we want this to look like a finished solid piece of wood. And so we have this gorgeous veneer edge banding that can just be ironed right onto the sides, and it matches. It's a birch that matches the birch veneer on the top, and it looks gorgeous once it's all seamlessly attached.
Well, you can use an X-Acto knife to take off the excess of this edging. We had this great little tool, I think it's called an edge trimmer, and it just worked really fast and really nice.
Well, we had the bright idea to remove the top so that we could replace it with the new top. Unfortunately, look at this stuff. It's like cardboard MDF, and it's fused together in 3 layers. So the only thing we could remove was really the inside right above the drawer. Everything else was totally solid and fused together. So once we got this far, we realized we had a much bigger problem than we thought, and we made so much more work for ourselves than we even knew. Instead, we really should have just glued the new tabletop right on top and painted that wood top green, just so it was like another layer of the green table. Unfortunately, we didn't think about that until we realized that was our only solution. In order to prep this previous tabletop to go underneath the final tabletop, we just need to sand it down, make it smooth, so that our new tabletop will lay nice and flat on here.
Time for the Bondo. If you guys don't know what this is, it's a really great wood filler. It comes in 2 parts. There's the putty, and then you mix it very thoroughly with a little bit of the cream hardener. And then you have to get it on your piece very quickly because it dries in about 5 minutes. Well, the old top got pretty torn up, and when we tried putting on the new top, there were some gaps along the edges that were just unsightly. It wasn't going to work. So we used the Bondo to kind of fill in those gaps.
This Bondo goes on quite globby, so obviously if we're going to lay a flat tabletop on, the Bondo needs to be flat. So we're going to lay the parchment paper right on top and then smash it down with a piece of wood. And this way it helps us to get a little closer to being pretty flush for the tabletop to sit on. We did a trial run with the tabletop sitting on there and could find all the gaps and could definitely see that our Bondo was not level all the way across. So we used this level to keep figuring out where the bumps and the valleys were, so that by the time this tabletop goes on there, it's going to sit flush with no gaps on the edges. I'm still fascinated by wood glue. This stuff is stronger than screws. So even if you're going to use screws, still use the wood glue, because no matter what, that stuff hangs on tight. So that was our go-to on the edges and on the sides to glue down nice and tight. So we just need to clamp it up as it dried. Delivery day. Even though Colby isn't supposed to be seeing this piece, he's trying really hard to not look at it as he's helping me deliver it into his front door. But do you notice this plastic? One good thing happened out of that big oops. And that is every piece we deliver or have picked up now is going to be wrapped in plastic to save us hours of work and lots of frustration. It's one thing for us to see these final pieces in our garage. It's a whole nother thing to see it in someone's home. I think I am just excited as they are to see the final reveal. It feels like it's been a long time coming. Do you guys even remember what it looked like before? Okay, reveal in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it looks so good.
Looks so good with your space.
Oh, it looks so good with the chairs and the
table.
Oh my gosh.
The stain turned out great.
Oh, I love it. The handle's so cute. Oh, can I move and look a little
Yeah,
closer?
please.
Oh,
You
so
definitely.
cute.
Colby, you can move.
Yeah.
I can't say anything.
Oh, it's so
We are so happy with how this piece turned out. But man, we are still learning new things with every project. And we hope by us making these mistakes and sharing them with you means that you don't have to make the same mistakes. So we hope you'll continue to tune in, subscribe, join us as we continue to share our experiences and give these pieces a second chance. Have a great week, you guys. Aloha!